Let's see what happens. Yep, there he is. And I rather... Oh, that's funny! Right, I have now made it in front of the tractor by taking the slower route through the town centre. I managed to get in front of it just, and the car that was directly behind me is now behind the tractor, which is directly behind me. Oh, that driver is going to be irritated now that they've seen me pull out in front of the tractor. Oh well, I do apologise, fellow, but it was not my intention actually, but I was able to do it, so I did. Hooray, 40. And there we go. Oh dear. Le pardon-moi. S'il vous plaît. What's going to happen again? There's lots of stuff in the air. Oh dear. Into the sleeve. That's the only thing when it's summer and when all the harvesting is going on, it's yeah. Am I still? Yes, I'm still recording. Good. Who want to miss a second of that incredibly entertaining last half an hour or so? Not me! Well, I've got to edit it, so I won't miss it, but I should think I shall do some jiggery-pokery. Might chop bits out. Well, to be honest, I'll probably do my usual and just speed bits up. And then slow them down again for if I've got any interesting tidbit of information or just random bollo to... I believe the word actually is bollocks, there we go, to offer. My acceleration is not the best. The car is performing as intended. In fact, the ignition is better than it used to be because I recently put a new coil pack and spark plugs in because a couple of days after I had the windscreen replaced, things started playing up. It was misfiring. I had a proper fit one day misfiring for about 40 minutes. Whatever I did, it wasn't happy when I was putting a load on. And then for the sort of a couple of weeks after that, or a week or so after that, it was labouring and misfiring when I was shifting down gear. Wasn't doing it any other time. Well, aside from when I was reversing, it did it. And when I was shifting down, it did it. Speaking of shifting down, we're going to go this way, and I've got a feeling that tractor might be going this way as well, so I am kind of glad that I've managed to get in front of it. And this is totally useless mileage to add to the journey, because I would be home by now, but I wanted to drive this bit of a route because again this is a bit that doesn't happen very often. I'll just slow down as I go past them. There we we go. And I don't think I have recorded this particular road before. So, here we are. Welcome to this. The road with a number which I cannot recall. Even though I've just gone past the sign that said it. But there we go. In fact, I think the first time I did this road was in the previous Astra, a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago, and it was in the snow, which was interesting. This was all snowy and icy and entertaining. But yeah, since I replaced the coil pack and the plugs, it's been alright. The day I did it, it didn't make a lot of difference. The day after, it started to behave again most of the time. The day after that, it was fine, and it's been fine since. So if there was a misfire attributable to the coil pack, which I think was the case, it was probably the original coil pack, and this car's got 146,000 miles on it, and is 14 years old. So yeah, it's probably the original coil pack, so that was probably why. But if there was a misfire that had been caused by a faulty coil, then perhaps that had caused something else to misbehave, and then once the misfire itself was sorted, whatever else it was which then helped contribute to the continuation of the misfire has since fixed itself, because the initial misfire was no longer present. I don't know. I'm not that heavily into this side of cars. I can handle tools and mess around with technical things, but I'm not massively knowledgeable on the systems, which is why the internet is useful. Vaping cough, and again, I mean that's also partly attributable to whatever was making me sneeze further back. These are my type of roads ultimately. These sorts of smaller roads, you know, through the country, I like these. I've got nothing, you know, I've got no problems using motorways and A roads, but in terms of the overall experience, I prefer these roads, because just look at it, you get a view. And the road does something more than just go in a straight line or very, very wide curves. And you don't tend to get an awful lot of traffic on these roads because they're all using the bigger roads. So when I can, I prefer to take these sorts of roads. I mean, at the moment, like I said, I didn't have to take this road. This is going well out of my way. Well, not massively, but a few miles out. Yeah, avoid that bit. And that. wanted to go this way just because. So there. Interesting cloud formation ahead, bloody hell. I mean, oh crikey, look at the clouds. Yes. Yeah, the only thing is with these sorts of roads, they're not always the best quality. There's a car behind me that's gradually gaining, and I think that may be the one that had been behind the tractor. Was before that was behind me, behind the tractor. And I think he's now behind me and the tractor is out of sight. Yeah, just look at this. Okay, the weather is interesting. You've got the sun shining up there, but then look at the clouds. Oh yes, look at the clouds. Look at the road. This is nice. Pigeons. There's rather a lot of sheep in that field, in both fields. The field to the right, that's quite a lot there. More pigeons! You could have just stayed where you were. I wouldn't have affected you, but no. You decided to fly. We come into a 30. There we go. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the car that was behind me. That I got past and got past the tractor, and then I got past the tractor. Or the tractor has disappeared and they're now behind me again. Splendid. Oh, they're turned off. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the car. And there's 60, there we go. You can get up to 60 relatively quickly in this car if you work through the gears properly. But going through a 30 like that, I tend to stay in 4th gear and just rumble along, so, and I could do it in 5th really, but that labours the car a bit. But, so accelerating out of the 30, I only had 2 gears. I was already in 4th and could only move up to 5th. I could have shifted down to 3rd, but I didn't want to. I just couldn't be bothered. Bye. Yeah, there we go. Blackbird flying. Lolly dikes. Well, fair enough. Make your own whimsical, comical kind of phrases there, or ideas as to the name of the place, connotations that could have. Finger post? There's a sign that said something like finger post banger something, and again, in terms of connotations, I'm sure it didn't say that, but there we go. Right, well, left rather. How fast can we get up to 60? I don't know, because I'm not counting. The answer is, if you've got a car that's not particularly powerful, rev the knackers off it. And 60. Yeah. Oh dear. The car I'm looking to get, perhaps sometime soonish, would reach 60 rather more quickly than this does. Anyway, this is the A697. I have read it there. I have videoed / recorded, or vicorded or videoed. I'm trying to say both. I have recorded this road before, so this isn't new particularly, unless you've not seen any of the videos I've made before. In which case, I applaud you, because if you, well, that means you've not been bored to death. I'll say the same thing I've said in the previous video. Hounslow! This is Hounslow. No, it is not Hounslow down in that London, down in England. This is Hounslow in Scotland, in the borders. Yep. lots of places in the borders. Excuse me. Lots of places in the borders named Law, L-A-W. I think in Scottish Law means hill. So where we're going to go through in a few minutes, Greenlaw, which is where I used to live when I first moved up here. That means Green Hill. So Hare Law is Hare Hill. There's a White Law as well, so that's White Hill. I think there's a Llama Law because there's a route that I need to film over the hills. Not done yet, I don't think, and I want to do it. And I believe that the hills are the Llama Hills, and I think there is a Llama Law. But anyway, that's for another day. When I finally get back up to North Berwick for fish and chips and a view by the sea. Not been up there since probably February. So it's been 6 months. But the guy in the chip shop will recognise me as he always does. I wasn't here for a winter, and when I came back, the first time I went for fish and chips, he remembered me, which was nice. There we have some sort of works of the road variety overhead and a red light. 400 yards. Yards. Now, will it? No. Yes. Didn't quite stop. Rumbleton. There's a name. I think there is actually a Rumbleton Law as well. Going back to the subject of places with law in the name. Well, just past this next speed camera and around the bend is Greenlaw, where, as I said, I used to live. So, ancient county town of Berwickshire, Greenlaw. My old home. It's not a bad wee place. Not much happens here. I mean, it's one pub. It's a kind of a sleepy little place, really. But it was a bit too far from work. My old house on the right there. I have pointed that out in a previous video. There's the pub, the Blackadder, on the right there. Which, to be fair, does do some rather splendid food. I'll unplug the camera now because it's not been charging. Oh dear, why have you not been charging? You should have been charging. In that case, I'll attempt to plug it back in while watching the road, using one hand to put the thing in the... There we go. Interesting. It says it's charging, it's at 22%. Interesting. just say that corner, I once encountered in the dark. This was when I lived at Greenlaw. I had the older car. Going back in the evening after work, and it was dark at that time. I once encountered a couple of lads pushing a scooter along the road. At the side of the road, obviously, but they were in the road, and there was nothing visible at all. They had nothing, no high vis, nothing shiny, nothing visible, nothing to warn anybody coming that they were in the road. So they were on the bend as I came around it on the inside, yeah, that was interesting. Obviously, I saw them at the last moment because they were highlighted by my lights, which I had on because it was very dark. But otherwise, you couldn't see them. So that was weird. Motorbikes. Yeah, my camera now says 15% battery. It was showing that it was plugged in, but for some reason it wasn't charging. I don't know why. But I'm nearly home, so it should last. Back to Coldstream, Scotland's first true border tune. Fair enough. Crikey, there's not actually many cars now. That's different. This is probably the bit that tends to break springs. Since I've had this car, I've had 3 springs replaced and 2 shock absorbers. There we go. Yeah, I'm back. The friendly dogs. Right, that's me done. That was my exciting shopping trip. None of which you saw because I didn't film the actual shopping, but never mind. So, for me and the dogs, they're not my dogs by the way, but they, for some reason they do like me, and they like the sound of the car, and they always greet me when I get back. So, hello dogs, and goodbye everybody else.